I think about that this works with both bases for obvious reasons. And then you look at the polling after the conviction. Morning Consult, Biden was tied with Trump in a poll before the trial started on April 15th. The latest poll after the verdict, also from Morning Consult, so trying to follow the trend of the exact same polling group. They had Trump up one. So effectively, this has a negligible within the margin of error difference. What do we take from that?
I think we take from it that the public sees both sides behaving badly. That, you know, when you had Watergate, Leland, people said, what, burglary? I understand a burglary. And I understand trying to get the FBI and the CIA to disrupt an investigation of a burglary. How do people understand this bookkeeping that was inflated from a misdemeanor into a felony about influencing a federal election? They can't follow it.
Yeah, no, I was gonna actually bring that up, the same issue of Watergate that you lived through. There does seem all of a sudden, though, to be, I don't want to say alarm bells, but certainly some consternation on the left or with the intellectual left that Joe Biden's having a rough time. He's getting worse as a candidate, and Donald Trump might win. Here's Bill Maher, for example.
I would vote for his head in a jar of blue liquid over Donald Trump. But that doesn't mean that I'm not, first of all, I think it's a moot point at this point. He's gonna fucking lose.
Who, Biden?
Yes.
No, you're wrong.
No.
Who do we believe, Bill Maher or Kara Swisher?
Can I have a third choice?
not to listen, but go ahead.
Well, Biden is trying to scare the country. It's odd for an incumbent to try and scare the country because he's supposed to be in charge of making the country well, which he has done now for 4 years. The alarming thing is he's trying to convince the Americans that he alone stands between the ruination of what Washington founded and Lincoln preserved. And I think people look around and say, we got a lot of problems, but democracy is not hanging by a thread. And if it is, we need more than Joe Biden to fix it.
I have asked this question to my friends off air, normally when there's a couple of glasses of wine or a martini involved. I've yet to ask it on television, but I think it's an important one. If you set up this situation as Democrats are, and we'll listen to a soundbite, for example, Eric Swalwell, just to make the point, talking today in the Merrick Garland hearing.
So if you believe in states' rights, except when a jury in that state convicts your nominee for president, you might be in a cult.
Okay, so he went through this whole list. But if Democrats set this situation up as they are the only ones who can protect democracy, Joe Biden is the only one who can protect democracy from Donald Trump, and then Donald Trump wins fair and square, because we're not supposed to question elections anymore in America, but Donald Trump wins, isn't the only option then they have set up to protect democracy is to not allow Donald Trump to take power?
Yes, and notice that Mr. Bragg, who prosecuted Mr. Trump in New York, is an election denier, in effect. He's the one who's saying, by influencing the federal election, somehow Donald Trump became an illegitimate president. So election denying is making the rounds again from all sides.
Right, but if you take this out to its extreme, I'm wondering I get that it works, and I get that the line from President Biden works over and over and over again. He uses it. Here you go. Here's him saying Donald Trump is a threat to democracy.
A poison is running through our democracy and parts of the extreme press. Truth buried by lies. Trump's assault on democracy isn't just part of his past. It's what he's promising for the future.
What, in your view, constitutes the primary threat to freedom and democracy at home?
Donald Trump. Seriously.
The irony, of course, is that the polling is the opposite. The American people viewed, when asked, that Joe Biden is a greater threat to democracy. What threat to democracy is, the American people disagree on. But again, why has nobody asked? Why has no member of the press, you think, asked Joe Biden, if Donald Trump's a threat to democracy and your job is, and you have sworn to uphold the Constitution, if you lose, what are you going to do?
And if he's a threat to democracy and you're losing right now, why are you running? Why is your career, extending it 4 years, your final 4 years and more than half a century in public life, more important than saving democracy from the supposed threat of Donald Trump? The Kennedy School of Government on Harvard recently did a survey of young voters, 18 to 30. List of issues that they mattered most. Climate was at 16. The economy and immigration at the top. And democracy, whatever that means, was not even at the top.
One thing we're trying to figure out, and we've got Scott Tranter of Decision Desk HQ. I know you've looked at some of their polling as well. One thing we're trying to figure out is how to poll. What does threat to democracy mean?
Of course, it means nothing.
Right. We're trying to figure out what the American people think it means. Mr. Will, the pleasure. Thank you.
Good to be with you.
Good to see you, sir.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.